Probably candidates who didn't feel like coming out for election that time decided long after to now show up and emerge that they wanted to run for elections. To our greatest surprise, people start to question the elections, the Constitution. People start to make all manner of, slanderous remarks about how the Constitution came about. And frankly speaking, the people who are saying this are in the minority. And if the minister's dream, which we all share, is to democratize sports, is democracy not about free and fairness where a majority carries the day? If you have 17 clubs saying they want to use a constitution, which they agree with, and you have 4 clubs, because they support one candidate, say they don't want to use the constitution, does that make that constitution wrong? Does that make that constitution bad? And never was there a time that anybody sat down to have common grounds. Let's meet all parties that were warring, all parties that were disgruntled, come and meet on the table and let's discuss this constitution. Let everybody has the onus, bring forth his own case against the other. That was never done. The NOC was supposed to intervene and do that. It never did.
That's right.
Changes. Today we would use our constitution. Documents will come out on air. We will use our constitution. Tomorrow, no, we won't use our constitution. Next tomorrow, the constitution is fraudulent. Next tomorrow, a different day, a different gist.
Mr. Form.
It's impossible to believe that these things can happen.
Look, so
armed with a letter that the International Federation has addressed to me, the person they still consider to be their president.
And who is
the person they still consider to be their president?
And what does the international body, who do they consider as the president of the NRFF?
On the 28th of July, the International Federation refers to form Edward Palm as its president because they know that our tenure ends in November. But that is aside. They have how they look at us in the executive board. We have how the ministry looks at us here. But the point is, if we are going to run an election and we produce a constitution, let that constitution, which has been approved by the International Federation, be used. We don't want to use the constitution. The International Federation has said, if you do not use the constitution, at least use the constitution that governs the continental body.
Fine.
If you don't do that, you will be banned.
Fine.
First of all, to prove their point, they now give us a suspension. As we speak, Nigeria is suspended from all African championships. They now tell us, do the General Assembly, go through the procedures that you, Mr. President, was taught by us. Follow through on it. We have discussed it. We have given documents to the ministry, to the NOC. We have proven our points.
Okay.
Nobody wants to listen.
Okay. Thanks for explaining that to us. But Mr. Form, you were part of the rerun election, and after the election, Mr. Kelechi Mbagwu was declared winner. With what you've just said, citing the international body, are you saying you don't accept the outcome of that election?
We had never accepted from day one that we will go into an election that was never going to be guided by a constitution. So I was never part of a rerun. I never stood for election under the guidelines. We never did that. So whether I accept the verdict or I don't accept the verdict, the international community who have said that we stand to be banned after 3 months if we do not conduct the annual General Assembly, what is called an elective General Assembly, when they ban Nigeria and when Nigeria is removed from the World Rugby Chart, as they have said they will, then I'm sure maybe at that point everybody will know what the true situation of abiding to an international best practice constitution means.
Okay, let's leave the international body now. Briefly, let's just wrap up this conversation. You're still a member of the board. Will you work with this new leadership that has been inaugurated today?
No, I did not stand for the ministry's guidelines election. I am not a member of the board. There are 2 people here, Rugby Africa through their World Rugby through Rugby Africa, who still sees this board as their own board up until when it is terminated in November. And of course, the ministry's board, which Nigerians still see as their own. I personally don't have to be in a rugby board to be able to do my quota and contribute to the development of the sport. I don't have to be in the board, but all I wanted to fight for was for Nigeria not to get a ban. I offered to step down 3 times just so that the constitution will be used. Nobody listened to me. So when Nigeria is banned, or however the international community, who are the ones in charge of our sports, they qualify us for Olympics, African Championships, Commonwealth, World Cup. We don't qualify ourselves for that. And so if they tell us that we are not doing according to what they want us to do, and we still are adamant on doing it our own way, fine. When they keep us out of the charts, we will know what next to do.
Mr. Form Edward, I must say thank you so much for making our time to contribute on the show tonight. Thank you. So, issues, more issues coming out of, now not just the elections, the rerun elections that were done yesterday and today at the Abuja National Stadium. So it says now, world body against the Ministry for Youth and Sports. The world body has won. You must follow the Constitution. Use the guidelines there to work. Our Ministry for Youth and Sports is the body charged with the administration of sports in Nigeria. And of course, you saw the Minister for Youth and Sports there, Solomon Dalong, going tough after the inauguration that now every federation will come out with their own constitution. I think about 2 months, 3 months before an election. So that's for the Nigeria Rugby Football Federation. We will go on a quick break now. When we come back, Taekwondo, because yesterday the Harmonization Committee, we read their report that said that the election into the board of the Nigeria Taekwondo Federation was upheld, so they returned to status quo. So they were hearing that there were supposed to be elections, because we knew that it was just for the Southwest, but today there were supposed to be elections, and so Taekwondo didn't go through the inauguration process today. We'll talk about that when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Stay.